Is the Zoom on?
Yes.
Yes.
Zoom is on.
All right, welcome. Thank you for coming in. We are TW students and we are dietetic majors. And today we will be presenting to you about nutrition for preschoolers. So we are the Itty Bitty Budgeters. My name is Nandi Mergerson.
I'm Izzy.
I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Katya.
So today we will be presenting about nutritional needs for preschool children, budgeting tips for grocery shopping, planning ahead, and involving picky eaters. And then after that we will be doing an activity. We'll give you guys a handout and then we'll give time for questions.
Okay.
So I personally am a mother of a preschooler. I have a 4-year-old son, and I know how hard it can be to meet the nutritional needs for preschoolers. So we are here to alleviate a little bit of your stress and educate you and give you a little bit of information on how you can meet the nutritional needs for your preschooler. So basically, you're going to need protein, carbs, and fats. It's just important to make sure they have a balanced meal. So, and it's also important that you give them multiple meals throughout the day, because most likely they're not going to be eating all of the food that you give them, and that's okay. But you just want to expose them to different types of foods, because the first 4 to 5 years of their life is the most important, because that's when they are really getting exposed to different foods, and that's really going to build the foundation for when they get older to build all of their eating habits. So also you want to make sure that you're meeting their vitamin and mineral needs. So that means their calcium, their iron, zinc, vitamin B6, folic acid, and vitamin A are some of the nutrients that usually aren't being met because they're not getting enough of a variety of foods. Just so for essential needs, these are the 4 most important vitamins and minerals because they are usually deficient in them, and they're really important for their growth and development. So for zinc, it's really important for their immunity. So this can usually be found in spinach and eggs. So you want to make sure that they're getting their zinc. Also, calcium and vitamin D usually work hand in hand for their bone development and growth. And you can usually find that in fortified foods such as milk and dairy, any type of dairy product usually. And if they don't eat any dairy products, then you can find it in usually spinach or any type of green leafy vegetable like that. For iron, it's really important for their transporting the oxygen to different parts of their body through the blood. So you can usually find iron in fish or nuts or fortified foods such as cereals. So a really great tool that you are able to use is something called MyPlate. Has anybody heard of that before? You've heard of MyPlate? Cool. So MyPlate is a great tool that you can use online. You can go to it and it'll give you the amounts that you should give your preschooler. So for fruits, it's usually 1 cup of fruit a day, vegetables 1.5 cups, grains 4 ounces, protein 3 ounces, and dairy 2.5 cups. So the most important thing you want to do with your child is just give them, like I said, a variety of foods so that they're meeting all their needs. And then also you just want to make sure that you're limiting sodium, you're limiting their sugars, and you're also limiting their saturated fats. So can someone just give me an example of a meal that they would feed their child usually? Or just an idea of what like a meal that you would give them.
Cereal?
Just
Oatmeal?
Cereal or oatmeal? Okay, that's good. That definitely meets their grains, but you want to balance that meal. So with the cereal or oatmeal, you can add in some fruit, like a cup of raspberries with it. And then on the side, you can give them a cup of milk so that they're meeting their calcium. And then maybe for protein, you can add in like a spoonful of peanut butter into the oatmeal. And that'll make it more of a balanced meal so that they're also meeting all of their carbs, fats, proteins, and then their nutrients as well. So this is also from My Plate, and it's on their website, but it gives you an idea of what each serving equals. So like for example, 1 slice of bread would equal 1 serving of the grain. A half a cup of vegetables would equal 1 serving. So that really just gives you a visual and helps you understand what that daily serving equals. And then just a few tips. You want to give your child water over sugary drinks. You don't want to give them too much sugar anyway. Don't overfeed them or force feed. Usually that'll cause like really bad habits when they get older. So if as a child, your parent is forcing you to eat all your food even though you don't want to, as an adult, it'll like make them think that they have to finish their whole plate of food even if they're not even hungry. And that's just not good. You just want to make sure that that half of their plate, whenever you're feeding them, that is fruits and vegetables. Consume more whole grains rather than the refined grains. And then do not use food as a reward, and allow your kids to eat 5 to 6 meals a day so that you're offering that different variety of foods.
Okay, so next we're going to be talking about the budgeting portion of our presentation, which is going to include grocery purchasing, creating a shopping list, and comparing various items while at the store. So to begin, when you're purchasing groceries, you want to shop in season when you're buying foods that are like, say, for produce, because it's in higher quality and it's usually on sale. And these items are going to be displayed in like the center portion of the department with a bunch of like banners or just promoters being like, hey, this is in season and this is on sale. So that would be your go-to, be like, okay, well I can try this, and it's on usually cheaper than what it would normally be. And it's going to be on sale throughout the season. Like you'll have some items that are on sale for a 1 week period, or some that are on sale for multiple weeks at a time. So for example, you might have like navel oranges on sale for 1 week, or you'll have sumo oranges on sale for like a month. It just depends on where you are. And then another tip would be to buy in bulk. It's cheaper and it usually helps you in getting things that you need at that moment and not getting a bunch of items that you'll end up wasting later if you just don't end up using it. And it ends up being more cost efficient in the long run. Like, so for an example, if you go to somewhere like Sprouts and you buy like rice and you get bulk rice for about a pound, it would be $1.59 a pound, whereas a 16 ounce package is $3.29. So there's a bit of a difference in cost, whatever your preference would be, but if you were looking to save money, bulk would be your best bet. Another option would be shopping online, and it may be easier for those that have a busy schedule. If you have a class all day, or if you have to have someone watch your kids and you're working, you can just submit an order online before you go do your errands or class or whatever you have to do, and it'll just arrive whenever you need it to. It also depends on where you shop, because they do offer some free shipping options. But just about every grocery store in the area does have this option, whether it's Whole Foods, Target, Sprouts, Kroger, Winco. They all have a flexible option for you all. Lastly, using coupons will help, saving money while you're shopping. They can either be virtual, or if they have them in the store, or if you have flyers that are sent to your email from your grocery store and they'll send like a weekly list of items that are on sale, you can always look through that. Or if you just want to peruse the aisles and see what's on sale, or what in produce would be on sale, whatever would help you save money the best would be your best option. Next, for making a grocery list, the first and foremost thing you want to do is create a set budget. So you wanna calculate your income and list your monthly expenses and just determine your fixed and variable expenses and just go from there. And everybody's budget is different, so you don't wanna go over it and you just wanna stay within the range or just below it. Let's see. But yes. Another option would be meal planning. So you want to have an idea of what you're going to be making that week ahead of time. You don't want to go into the store like empty-handed or just not having an idea ahead of time. You might end up buying things that you might not end up using, or things that'll just go to waste. So it'll be helpful to have an idea, and you're not going to be spending excess money on things that you won't end up using. And with that, it would be helpful to create a list before you go and write down the ingredients that you need. So does anybody here go to the store with a list, or do you usually go like off the top of your head what you need?
I don't go with the list.
Oh. That's okay. But yeah, like if you have like a whiteboard on your fridge or like on your phone or a piece of paper, you can just write down like, oh, I'm out of blueberries, so I'll just write down I need blueberries or milk or whatever you are running low on or what you're out of, just so you know ahead of time. And it might also help to include quantities. So like if you're following a recipe and it says you need like a cup of flour and you only have maybe a half cup or a third cup in your pantry, you might as well just write down flour so you have enough for whatever you need. Another option would just to be in general just going through your inventory at home and seeing what you already have. And again, it just helps to get rid of the mindset of being like, well, I don't know what I have, so I'm just gonna get this because I think I don't have it. So it'll just help to have an idea of what you have at home before you go and buy or spend money on things that you might not need. And lastly, another option would just to be make budget-friendly adjustments to your list. And that's just like the things I had mentioned in the previous slide, which is just shopping in season, buying in bulk, shopping online, and looking for coupons at the store. And last, when it comes to comparing common items, that just means when you're buying stuff such as produce that's organic or conventional. And usually people assume that organic produce is way more expensive than conventional, but most of the case, I mean, it can be, but it does go on sale every so often. Like say for example, at Whole Foods, they have organic 3-pound mandarin bags that are $4.99 on sale. But also, if you were like say an Amazon Prime member, you can save 10% off that sale price, so you get an additional sale off of that, so it'll end up saving you money. But yeah, on the general side, conventional produce is typically cheaper, so if you feel more comfortable buying that, you can. Or if you feel like you're more, you care more about the organic integrity of produce, you can buy organic if it's on sale, or you don't have to. Whatever you want to do, you can always just end up washing your produce at home before you eat it, and that's totally fine. And then lastly, we have when it comes to like items that are name brand or generic brand. So typically the generic brand at the store is going to be typically cheaper because it's the store brand product. So like for example, today I brought these little snack bars. We have Lara bars, and we have Good and Gather chocolate chip cookie dough bars that are from Target. And to give a comparison of what the prices would be, the name brand for this Lara bar was $6.19, whereas the generic brand was $4.39. And they're both the same exact product with the same ingredients, same quantities and everything. One just costs more than the other. So with budget being a concern or just something that's on the forefront of your mind, you can totally get the generic brand and you won't be missing out on any of the ingredients or nutrients or whatever you would be concerned about.
Okay, now we're going to talk about planning ahead. We talked about budgeting, and now we're going to talk about planning, what you're going to eat next. So, Izzy talked about before you leave the grocery store, right? So these are some top things that I think are important before you leave the grocery store. So we're going to write meals down, what we're going to eat before we go. Like, do I want chicken and rice today? Do I want beef? What do I want to eat? We're gonna write recipes to try is also another thing that I like to write down, because I know what I have in my pantry, but sometimes I do like to branch out and eat other things. And then we'd also like to see what I already have in my pantry before I go. Like as Lizzie was saying, if I have half a cup of flour and I want to bake something, and I didn't consider that before I started cooking, now I'm stuck, right? And then we're also going to make a list. So this is also, I added a template. This is also from the USDA. It's a My Plate, all right? And then it categorizes the list into all their different categories. So it's a little bit easier to visualize, like, okay, if I'm in the fridge, I'm gonna look at all my dairy, I'm gonna look at all my meats, I'm gonna look at all my vegetables, I'll go in the pantry and look at all my other things, right? And then we're also gonna consider our schedule. At the end of the day, here in the CARES office, we're all busy students, and most of you guys have kids, right? And so traveling here and there and going to class, and I have to go home and take care of my kid is an important consideration we have to make, even outside of school. So consider your schedule and then plan where you're going. It's another thing that I find important. So when I go grocery shopping, I know I like to get my milk at Aldi, I like to get my produce at Aldi, but I like to get my packaged foods all at Sam's Club because I am a broke college student, right? So plan where you're going, when you're going. Are you gonna go at night? Are you gonna go before school? Are you gonna go after school? So the time really depends, and it's gonna make a big, big difference when, we're trying to budget our time and how we're gonna eat healthy this week. So something that we're trying to optimize here in our community, here in the CARES office, and even here at TWU, is choosing healthier options when we do go to the grocery store. So when we're trying to meet our needs for our toddler, of course, we're trying to feed them, but we're also trying to feed us. We're also going to choose whole grains over other type of wheat products. Okay, so I add an example. So like if you want like a sweet, salty snack, right? So we're gonna try to choose popcorn over chips because popcorn is a whole grain because it has a whole kernel, but chips are a fine grain because it's just a potato, right? And then another thing we're gonna do was avoid sweet foods with added sugars. So like when you buy packaged products, let's say like a good example would be like dried mango or something. And we look at the back of the package, it will say sugar, and under it will say added sugars. So we can try to avoid the added sugars and just buy things that say no added sugars on it, and that's gonna reduce our sugar intake for that meal. So we can choose fruit instead of candy is an optimal thing for that, and it will do you better in the long run. So we're also gonna keep shelf-stable snacks, peanuts, seeds, things like that. What's somebody's favorite like pantry snack that they always have in their pantry? Cashews are a great option. Very good train up as well, okay? So we also try to keep things that are good and easy for our kids to eat. So, toddlers are a wide range of people from 2 to 5. So whatever you determine your toddler is good to eat, that's up to you. You're the parent at the end of the day. And then fresh, frozen, and canned. So fresh, frozen, canned is I'm gonna deal with vegetables and fruits. So, do you guys have a preference of fresh, frozen, and canned when it comes to fruit, or will you just eat any, or you prefer one or the other?
No preference.
You'll eat no preference? Okay, that's good. That's good to hear because everybody has different opinions, by the end of the day, we're still getting our fruit for the day. And we want you guys to eat it as well. And then for the vegetables, we're gonna choose low sodium options. So like if you go to the store and you wanna cook like pasta or something, and you have a low sodium tomato paste and one that just has a regular sodium in it. Just go ahead and choose a low sodium one, and then you can adjust whatever salt you want to put into your recipe later. So that's going to reduce your salt for that. And then we're going to consider our preparation style. So we're going to try to shift towards like steaming, baking, things like that. We're going to avoid like frying and like high like fat type preparation styles, and it is a little bit hard to get towards it, but once you start, you can start trying new things. But also, as college kids, you can always try and get an air fryer. That's always a great choice, I seem to find. So when we meal prep, we're going to consider fresh, frozen, and non-perishable. So we're gonna consider our fresh foods, our frozen foods, and non-perishable foods. So that just means things that stay on the shelf, things that are in the freezer, and things that I wanna say last about a week, 2 weeks on the shelf, okay? And then first in, first out is something that in professional food, we try to consider the first thing we bought, put in the fridge is the first thing that we're gonna use back. So if I buy a tub of yogurt, and I bought a tub of yogurt last week, I'm gonna try to finish the one in the back first so it doesn't go bad. You know, that's a lot of reason that things go bad in our fridge, and we do waste a lot of our budget because we're not consuming things in the order that they should be consumed. And then another thing to consider is wash, portion, and separate. When we come back from the grocery store, you're tired, you have things to do, you don't wanna unload the car, you took 2 trips, so that already annoyed you. So wash your vegetables first, and all the things that, you know, have been processed, and put them up. And then we can portion things like meat or like fresh fruit, because like in the morning when you wanna go and you wanna feed your toddler, you just wanna grab like a tiny bag of like blueberries and you wanna go. You don't wanna like be portioning and taking 5 minutes out of your day to do all this type of things. And then separate our like contaminant foods. So we don't want eggs and like fresh fruit touching each other. So we're trying to do that, all right? And then cook for the future. We have the freezer space, so we should use it, you know? So when you are cooking, we try, like if you cook a big pot of broth, so portion the broth and put it in the freezer, and you're like, okay, so now I don't have to cook it again, I can use it again later, and when I just pull it out of the freezer and dump it in the pot, and that's when I'm gonna eat it. So I've cut out a lot of time, cut out a lot of pressure, and then you can just eat with your kid, and you know, you're saving more time with your child. So, as we stated at the beginning, we're all aspiring RDNs, and we're in the nutrition department here at the Health Science Building. But if you want more, like registered dietitian facts, they're tested, they are been through the scientific process. They will give you great advice on most nutritional things you need for all ages, for you yourself. So this is a QR code, you can scan it, and you can always go and look at that. They have more details on that.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, later.
So I added 2 recipes. So this is chicken noodle soup. It's really easy. I made it. It's good. It doesn't have that much salt, so you can try it if you want. It's 30 minutes tops, I promise. And I'm not the best cook. I just follow the instructions and I put it in the pot. All right. And then the next one I think is sausage and peppers in the oven. It's a sheet pan. So it's like I try to do one pot meals are easier for parents I see at this time, and it's easier for students as well. So you don't have to waste time like washing dishes and all those things afterwards. So foods on the go. That's what we came to talk about. So we're always moving, we're always doing all these things. As Nandi mentioned and Izzy mentioned, we're gonna introduce whole foods. So no snack, we're gonna try to do like whole fruit, whole bread, things like that, whole wheat, all those kinds of things to feed our kid when they are hungry and to keep us satisfied too. We're gonna encourage drinking water. So I know a lot of you guys, even as adults, we tend to choose a sugary drink over water, but we have to try to increase our water intake, especially with the summer coming up. It's gonna be very important that we increase our water intake. And variety is key. So even as we go on, we don't like eating the same things. Our toddler doesn't like eating the same things. So, you know, we can always try Google new recipes, Google new foods, try whatever is in for the season, whatever fruit, whatever vegetable, things like that. That's gonna help you, that's gonna help the kids expand their palate, and it's gonna help them not feel like very repetitive when they eat. And then protein, fiber, and healthy carbs are very important when we're packing foods for the go. So, you know, we have to pair those things, like we'll try like, let's say turkey and crackers, or peanut butter and celery, those 2 type of things, to help your kids fulfill those RDAs that Nandi mentioned. And then washing our portions is also important. So here Nandi has brought us with us her son's lunchbox actually. It's really cute. I actually got one after she showed it to me. Fun fact. I think it has an insulated portion, and then it has portions for all the other things, and they're good for kids. They don't, if your kid still doesn't like foods touching, and if you want to pack something hot for your kid, that's also good. And then we have a pouch. It's reusable, so reuse, reduce, recycle. And it's also, I think you can put a smoothie in it, and it's a snack pouch. So it's also the correct portion size for a snack pouch. That is the portion size for a snack pouch. And you can drink something in it as well. So thank you, Mommy. And I added a list of snacks here. And again, you have to be comfortable feeding what you want to feed to your kid. If you're feeling comfortable feeding your kid cashews or nuts and seeds, that's fine. If not, that's okay too. There's a list there. We're gonna move on to Katya. Thank you.
All right, and the last but not least, picky eaters, fun. So, here are some tips for introducing healthy foods to picky eaters. Serve foods with a variety of colors, textures, flavors, and temperatures. This will ensure that your child gets proper nutrition, and also it will ensure that when they grow up, they will eat fruits and vegetables. For example, if a child never sees a green vegetable on their plate, they will grow up and become an adult who never eats a green vegetable. Another tip is when introducing new foods, offer small amounts at a time. So if you put too much of unfamiliar foods on your child's plate, they may become overwhelmed with it, and they will reject it right away without even trying to try it. Next tip, avoid foods that are too hard, tough, or sticky, because it's a very unfamiliar texture for them, and they're not gonna like it. Also, avoid sweets such as candies or cookies. For example, if you want to introduce new foods, but right before that you gave your child something really sweet, chances are they will reject it because it will dull their appetite, and they will lose interest in food that you want to introduce. Next tip. Yes. Keep offering new foods as a meal or snack. The research shows that foods need to be introduced 20 to 30 times for a child to accept it. So if you already introduced 5 or 7 times and you feel desperate, don't be. Just keep trying, and eventually your preschooler might accept it. And the key here with everything you do when it comes to introducing food, just be patient and keep trying. Next one, introduce new foods with foods that are already familiar to your child. So you can put new food with foods that your child likes, and first they don't need to eat it right away. They can just get comfortable with it, and then after a while you can ask them maybe they wanted to try it, and they will feel more comfortable to try it. Then next tip, be a role model by eating the same healthy foods you want your child to eat. So we all know that children learn by mimicking their parents, and if you want your child to eat fruits and vegetables on a regular basis, and you need to eat them yourself, then they will most likely follow in your footsteps. And the last tip is no screen time during meals, because it will distract your child from eating, and they will definitely not going to be interested in food that you're trying to introduce. And finally, next slide. You can involve your child by playing games, and here are some couple of fun games you can play with your child. First game is create a plant person. So you cut some fruits and vegetables and give them to your child, and they can make a plant person on their plate, or you can make it more complex by giving them some toothpicks and they can try to make a stand-up plant person. And also, while they're playing, you can ask them to eat some of those fruits and vegetables. The second game is choose a letter of a day or a week theme. So basically you choose a letter and introduce food starting with that letter. For example, letter C, carrot, corn, or cucumber. Or if your child is learning letters at school, you can introduce foods that start with a letter they learned that day, let's say, at school. And the last game is the odd one out. You say series of 4 words, 3 of them vegetable and 1 random one, and your child needs to guess which one is a random word. So we can pretend right now, we can role play and pretend you're preschoolers, and I'm gonna name 4 words, and you as preschoolers are gonna pick the random one. So the words are carrots, zucchini, dog, cabbage. Which one is a random one? All right. Yay. So in conclusion, next slide. In conclusion, make sure your preschooler has an adequate amount of protein, carbohydrates, fats, minerals, and vitamins. Track your child's intake and get portion recommendations from My Plate. Shop within your budget. Plan meal before leaving for the store. Choose whole foods over processed foods. And finally, involve your child by playing games. And now we have an activity. Healthy versus unhealthy. Okay, so it's this or that. What would you choose, fries or baked potato? And why?
Because it has less processed fats.
Right. Good job.
It has less salt as well.
Yeah. Smoothie or Coke? And why?
I personally don't like Coke.
Good. Yeah, and also smoothie has vitamins, minerals, fiber, antioxidants, which are really important for your nutrition, for your gut health, for your microbiome. So
And
it's
then
good.
Coke, we're trying to avoid those added processed sugars.
Added
as well.
processed sugars, yeah. Next one.
The berries.
Which berries?
The real ones.
The real berries, yes. And why?
Because it has less added sugars.
Right.
Yes.
And also has vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and soluble fiber. Yay. And chips or popcorn?
Popcorn. Because it's a whole kernel.
Whole grain. Yay! Okay.
So we have a handout for you guys. It is a My Plate for toddlers, but it's 1,200 calories. But you can also get one for yourself. But that is going to be 2,000 calories, 18 to 2,000 calories. Yeah. So here it's for you. And questions.
Any questions?
Questions, concerns, comments?
Anyone from the Zoom, do you have any questions?
No. I have a question.
Yeah.
So like, if you're introducing your child with new foods, how are you prepared if they're allergic to it? Like, how do you know where to go and like how to be careful?
So you're basically just always want to have some Benadryl on hand, because you never know when your kids are going to be allergic to something. that's when you're in the process of getting them, they're trying out the different foods. So just always have a Benadryl on hand, and then just know that there are different foods that usually people are allergic to. So things like shellfish and peanuts, those are like the common allergens. So when you are giving them those types of foods, that's when you're gonna wanna have the Benadryl on hand. For
And
that.
also, just know the signs of allergic reaction. If you see like they're starting swelling up, then that's a sign you need to take them to a hospital ASAP.
That was a good question.
Yes, great question.
Any other questions?
Is organic or regular fruit better or worse than the other, or is it just a matter of preference?
It's a matter of preference. Like with organic produce, they're not treated with pesticides, whereas with conventional they are. And there's like that list that's like the clean 15 or dirty dozen if you want to follow that guideline if it really concerns you. Those are like the items that, like with dirty dozen, the ones that have the most pesticides that are used while they're grown, and then the clean 15 is the list with the items that have very little to no amount of pesticides within them. But when it all comes down to it, just washing them with a good wash, or even like water or apple cider vinegar, that's good enough to get any sort of can get any sort of pesticides off of it.
And in my experience, I like organic better just because it tastes better, especially strawberries. Strawberries you will feel a huge difference in a taste. It's just, to me, non-organic strawberries taste really plasticky. And also during winter season, of course, the fruit price is going up, but recently I like raspberries a lot, and I bought last couple of times I bought non-organic raspberries, and I couldn't eat them. They were so didn't have taste and were plasticky. And then I bought a organic raspberries, and it tasted fine. You know, it tasted like raspberries. So yeah, to me it's a matter of taste also. And I know let's say spinach. Spinach has a lot of pesticides in it, so that I would buy organic. You know, kind of if you know that food has a lot of pesticides, I would prefer buying organic, but also it depends on your budget.
Yeah. Just look up the clean 15 and just do your research on like pesticides, and you can learn about which foods have the most pesticides. I know any type of leafy greens and berries, apples, stuff like that definitely has more pesticides than other fruits and vegetables.
So, but I'm of the opposite opinion of Katya. Because I eat oranges year round. I will eat them in December. I will eat them any time of year. So I will eat organic, unorganic, whatever is fitting in my budget. Whatever, if they're there, they're my budget, and they look good, I'm gonna buy them.
Yeah.
So,
You know, me too. If
Yeah.
I'm on a budget, I would prefer buying non-organic raspberries. Like if there is a choice, raspberries or chips, I would buy raspberries. Even if it's, you know, it has pesticides or whatever, it's still better than buying chips, right? So,
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh.
Any other questions? No? All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and for our presentation. I hope you learned a lot. We do have a survey that we need you guys to do for us on the QR code. It'll take you about 5 minutes. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you to everybody on the Zoom. If you have time, if you could please do the survey as well.